Hello and welcome back. We're wrapping up Chapter 3, Section 3 of the text today, Perception versus Knowledge, and we're looking at a foundational centerpiece of the thought system of A Course in Miracles here. When we attack, we're attacking ourselves. When you attack, you're attacking yourself. When I lash out, I'm lashing out at myself. I'm attacking myself. This is true of all of us. It's a foundational centerpiece of this thought system, and we've talked about it in some various contexts before, and here we see the idea again. And it relates to this section on perception versus knowledge. In fact, what we're doing is we're looking at the material in paragraph 7, which I invite you to read along with the entire section. Of course, yeah, no skipping. So we don't think in the world conventionally that when we attack, we're attacking ourselves. We seem to be attacking another person, or one nation state with its military appears to be attacking another nation state. We appear to be lashing out and doing battle with something outside of us. Now, this is attacking ourselves. And the same thing applies when we feel the need to defend ourselves, because what happens when we fear attack from without? A natural consequence of thinking about attacking something out there is that thing's going to get angry and attack us back. Whether we've said anything or not, whether we've thrown the first punch or not, we fear that we're going to be attacked from without. So what do? We construct elaborate defenses. We build militaries, and on a smaller scale, we plot and we scheme and we plan because we're certain that our neighbor is going to attack us. We're certain that our neighbor is going to transgress us. We're certain that our neighbor is going to sue us. All kinds of different examples. So we construct an elaborate defense that does nothing but reinforce the ego. It does nothing but reinforce this false sense of separation that you want deep down, we all want deep down, to set aside and be done with for good, forever. And I can easily say that that's what you want because you're interested in spirituality. So this is a foundational centerpiece of the thought system of A Course in Miracles, which makes it the foundational centerpiece of spirituality in general, because this course is universal in theme and application. It's universal spirituality. Oneness is universal spirituality. The idea that we're all one is not specific to A Course in Miracles. It's common to universal spirituality. So it doesn't make any difference what tradition or traditions you practice or don't practice. This applies to you. It applies to you. So as you're tuning in, I invite you to, again, as always, get in touch with your inner teacher and take what most applies to you. Again, what you're watching is a projected image, pixelated image. How it forms, I have no idea, but it's an image on your screen. And what you're hearing is your inner teacher. So when something lands for you, if something lands, and when, right? When you hear something that is deeply resonant and that inspires you to practice, listen to that voice. That's your inner teacher. It may be that you watch the entire video and nothing lands or resonates, and maybe it will land and resonate later on today, maybe in 15 minutes, maybe days from now. What we're invited to do is when something lands, when we connect to it, pay attention to that. Pay attention to your inner teacher. It will guide you. There is only oneness. There's never been any separation of any kind. So naturally, there is no other. One indeed equals one. So with that framework, of course, all attack is on ourselves. Let's think of it this way. When we lash out at our neighbor, we may feel really justified in doing it and may feel kind of sneaky good for a second, but that doesn't last. Pretty soon, the guilt surfaces. We can feel awful for having lashed out and feel like, wow, that was a little harsh. And take it from there, right? It can be a lot worse than, wow, that was a little harsh. We can really beat ourselves up over it. That's guilt, which is what impelled the action in the first place. So we're attacking ourselves. We're the ones that feel that guilt. And our neighbor is a projected image on our screen, just as this is a projected image on your device right now. It's our dream, and we're invited to perceive our neighbor rightly, correctly, truly. And that is not as other, but as one with us, as ourselves. In other words, love thy neighbor as thyself. And we can add, because your neighbor is yourself. There is no separation of any kind. So when we truly accept this idea, then ideally, hopefully, it becomes easier to forgive. When you attack yourself. And when you forgive yourself. There's never been any separation of any kind. Forgiveness, the miracle, forgives yourself. Oneness is oneness. And we have the choice between the miracle of forgiveness, love, or the ego, separation and fear. And which we choose will govern how we experience the world, ourselves, and everything in it. So rather than dreaming a dream of pain and suffering, guilt, blame, separation, we can dream a forgiving, loving, beautiful, and joyful dream. We can learn to perceive truly, and then God takes the final step himself. But we must learn first to perceive truly, because until we perceive our brother truly, we don't know him. And not knowing him truly, we don't know God. Perceiving truly, as we've seen here recently, is the prerequisite for knowing God. It's the prerequisite for what's referred to in the Course as knowledge. It's the prereq for awakening, enlightenment, realizing God, as it's said in some traditions. We're all talking about the same thing here. We think that our brother is a stranger. We think someone else is a stranger, someone else another, because we don't know him. Because we don't know him. We're perceiving him as separate. So when we perceive him as us, as one with, then our experience is different. If we really perceived our neighbor as ourself, we wouldn't attack. And when we had attack thoughts, judgment about that person, we'd quickly catch ourselves and forgive. We'd quickly do that. So we're invited to perceive correctly. And, well, true forgiveness, as it's presented here in A Course in Miracles, is the way we do that. We do that under the direction of our inner teacher. And, well, I guess this sounds like a skipping disc. We repeat ourselves all the time in spirituality, don't we? It doesn't matter what tradition you follow. There's repetition in all of it because as adult learners, we are stubborn. Let's be honest, we're all stubborn and we get distracted, especially in modern life with our cell phones and the internet and all of the stuff that we have apparently coming at us. It's not coming at us. The world's not coming at us. It's actually coming from us. But when we choose not to realize that, then we get lost. We get carried away. And this is all a practice in bringing our awareness back to forgiveness, bringing your awareness back to right now, the present moment, and forgiveness. Let that serve as the object of a living, breathing, waking meditation for you. It can be helpful to liken it to that, to a practice of seated meditation, sitting meditation or formal meditation, whatever you want to call it, where you're focused on an object, whether it's sound or if there's a guide on the instructions of the guide, could be your breath. And traditionally, that's what a lot of people think about. Think of forgiveness as the object of a living, breathing, waking meditation. And when you feel yourself distracted, when you notice that you've been carried away, rather than judge yourself and condemn yourself as wrong and a horrible person and unable to do this course, you are able to do this course. You've done this course. We've all done it. Separation never occurred, right? Doesn't matter what tradition or traditions you practice. We're all at home, awake in God. There are many doors, but we've all done it. So if you feel that you can't, well, number one, join the club, because we've all done that, haven't we? Yet at the same time, rather than condemn yourself, just bring your awareness back. Forgive yourself. And if you're called to do that, yeah, forgive yourself, but bring your awareness back to forgiveness. And forgive yourself if you need to. Forgive someone else if that's what you feel you must do. So let's just wrap up with what I hope is heartening for you, is that there are no strangers. There are no strangers. There's only perfect oneness. That is the definition of heaven in A Course in Miracles. The awareness of perfect oneness. Only God. The awareness of perfect oneness. We're one with God. We're not excluded. There are no strangers. God's not a stranger to us, and we're not a stranger to each other, nor is the Son of God a stranger to God. One equals one. There is no separation of any kind. There never has been. There never will be. It's not possible. So, my hope is that this will inspire you to practice, to forgive, to extend love to the Son of God, which includes yourself, and to forgive, again, which most definitely includes yourself. So thank you, as always, for tuning in and for joining me. Here's the subscription button. I'd love to have you subscribe here to this YouTube channel. And if you're just joining me, I offer about, on the average, 5 to 6 of these videos a week because consistency is important. In anything, we're looking to develop a habit where forgiveness becomes automatic instead of blame, instead of saying, well, screw this person, we forgive this person. Yeah, we're aiming to make that a habit so that we may wake up. Yes, so consistency is important. Now, if you would like to join me over on my Patreon page in February, I'm going to start a live stream. These are longer and a bit more focused discussions with the opportunity for live Q&A. I'll put the link here in the description to this video so you can check that out. It will begin on the 11th of February. And I'll leave details over there on my Patreon page. That is an opportunity to go a little bit deeper. And again, for the live interaction. So meanwhile, this YouTube series, by the way, is going to continue. Consistency is important. Habit forming is important. It's a course in mind training, which means we don't take a day off unless we really are called to or need it, right? Everything that we experience that disturbs us in any way is an opportunity for forgiveness. So the more of those we notice and we seize the moment and forgive, the more we take advantage of those opportunities, the quicker all of this happens. And I know that's what you're interested in. But this is the work in order to do that. So I invite you to join me. Comments and questions are always welcome, and I will see you back here very soon.